Hello, and a very warm welcome to sportslumo.com. And in this special episode, we are starting a new series on book reviews. In my very first episode, I am joined by a 20-year-old. I will just sum up this basic tagline of his: entrepreneur by profession, but a sports fan at heart. He has a company called Square the One, but his real claim to fame is a superb book that came out on July 2021. The Making of the Champions, India's under-19 story. Basically, we have had a lot of books on great champions, on great Indian players. But the guest that I have today is someone who has taken representation of our grassroots champions to a whole new level altogether. Welcome to the special book review of sportslumo.com, and in this episode, I, Siddharth Vishwanathan, editor-in-chief of sportslumo.com, will have a conversation with Shiv Dhawan, one of the authors of The Making of the Champions, India's under-19 story. So Shiv, firstly, thank you so much for joining us. Power cuts, everything included. Thank you so much for giving us time.
Thank you so much, Siddharth bhai, for having me here. It's my absolute pleasure to be here.
So Shiv, first obvious question. Okay, 1.3 billion Indians are all cricket fanatics at heart. There is no denying. We have got opinions, we have got views about everything that is related to cricket, right from gully cricket to domestic cricket to IPL to international cricket. But few take the next step in writing a book, in chronicling the adventures and the stories. Many people hesitate to even do it when they are 40 to 45, but at such a young age, Shiv, what prompted you to do such a book which chronicled the lives of India's grassroots cricketers and our brilliant success in under-19 cricket?
You know, Siddharth bhai, I was 16 years old when I started writing. I started with a blog of my own. I started writing posts on Facebook and I got recognition, some kind of recognition. A couple of websites asked me to write for them. And I thought, okay, I'm 17. Why don't I write about the guys who are my age? Why don't I write about the guys who are playing in the under-19 circuit? Why don't I write about the guys who are playing domestic cricket? That is when I thought, if a 17-year-old has to cover cricket, he has to cover cricket of his own age. He has to cover under-19 cricket. And that is when the idea of this book came to my head. Although I'm 1 year late, I'm 20 years old now, and now the book has come out. But I think that is my basic idea. That is when I thought, okay, I have to cover this journey because I relate to them. I used to play cricket. I could not pursue cricket due to my reasons, my own reasons. I had my injuries, I had my medical reasons. And it's not just my story. It's the story of how many Indians we don't even know. You know, almost every Indian boy, I'm not being sexist here, but almost every Indian boy harbors this fantasy of moving down the stairs of a pavilion. Every Indian boy wants to don that Indian jersey. Same was my dream. I could not fulfill it on the field, but I am trying to fulfill it off the field. The idea of the book, obviously, since I said the under-19 aspect, you know, everyone looks at these international cricketers, everyone looks at the Virat Kohlis, the KL Rahuls, the Rohit Sharmas, but who is covering the Tanmay Srivastavs, who once led Virat Kohli in the 2008, before the 2008 under-19 World Cup. He was the leading run scorer of the 2008 under-19 World Cup. These are the journeys I wanted to cover. These are the journeys I wanted to bring into limelight. And that's what I and my co-author, that's what we aspired to do. And I think we have done our job decently.
Yes, in fact, in your book, even you've got Tanmay Srivastav's inputs also. I mean, for people who may not be aware, Tanmay Srivastav was part of that glorious 2008 under-19 team. That is the team that has given us Virat Kohli, Ravindra Jadeja. There are so many IPL stars also in that. But Shiv, now the next obvious question is this conversation, folks, you'll have to remember, because it's an entrepreneur who's going to give you ideas. as to how you have to approach cricket right from the very basics. Shiv, you have covered cricket in a way. I have covered cricket. We have all done articles ad nauseum on cricket. But in writing this book, what were the major obstacles that you encountered, which sometimes either deflated you or whether it motivated you to do better?
The first obstacle to anything is starting. Because once you begin, it becomes easier because okay, I have started this, now I have to finish this. Start however you want to, finish it like Dhoni, as they say, as it's written on t-shirts these days. So, the biggest obstacle for me was beginning this book, and that is why I had a co-author, because, we kept motivating each other throughout the journey of the book. And I think when you have to approach 10 cricketers for the book, it becomes a challenge, because you have to coordinate with those 10 cricketers, first finding those 10 cricketers and finding cricketers who are not in limelight these days. Like, for example, I spoke to Tanmay. Tanmay is a very, very close friend now. I spoke to Ashok Maneria, who was India's captain in the 2010. He led the side in the Under-19 World Cup. I spoke to Baba Aprajit from 2012. So finding all these people, finding all these talents, because somebody was playing cricket somewhere, somebody was coaching some students somewhere. To have them on a video call, have them on a call, have discussions with them. I had Shahbaz Nadeem, and I'll narrate a short story with this, a short anecdote. So I was speaking to Shahbaz Nadeem on a call, and he had played the Under-19 World Cup in the year 2006. So it's been 15 years. And Shahbaz, I was talking to him, and he said that we were eliminated in the semi-final that year. And deep inside my head, I knew that was not the case, because India lost the final that year to Pakistan, if you remember. And Shahbaz did not remember, despite being a member of the team. But then I thought to myself, okay, the lad has played for 15 more years after that. That was the biggest challenge for me, fact-checking. Because, these players, I cannot expect them to remember every single game from 15 years ago. That is not humanly possible for anyone. And to verify these stories. So that, I think, was the biggest obstacle. And another major thing that we faced was, I was looking at Rahul Dravid for the foreword of the book. Because, I thought a book on Under-19 cricket in India, he has to be there. And we have a chapter on him, which is one of my favorite chapters in the book. So I thought Rahul Dravid for the forward, and I tried approaching him, but then he was busy with the India-Sri Lanka series. So we faced a bit of a setback there, and I was very upset. I did not write for a couple of days after that. But at the end of the day, things worked out fine.
I mean, yes, imagine getting a forward from a guy who could have easily enjoyed his retirement life, who could have easily ensured that he rested on his laurels, but he goes out in the heat, goes into the grassroots, builds the base for India's future dominance. Under-19, A-tours, it would have been simply sensational, Shiv. But the last 2 years, not just for you or me, but for everybody, it has been a very, very tough period due to the coronavirus pandemic. When sports stopped, how did you motivate yourself, and that the prospect that, okay, our lives have changed forever? How did you get into the so-called new normal situation?
I remember actually when the pandemic struck, I was in Dharamshala, Himachal Pradesh. I was there for the India-South Africa game. And that series got cancelled. There was havoc all around, and we did not know what to do with our lives anymore. There was this subsequent lockdown that followed. And for the first few days, I was a bit dull. I did not know, because that was the time IPL was scheduled to happen, and it was not happening. So cricket fans were obviously a bit stressed. So in April last year, on April 16th, as far as I remember, I started with my Instagram live sessions. I thought, kuch to karna hai. So I started with those sessions. I texted one of my friends, Chaitanya Bishnoi, who is a Haryana batsman. He opens the batting for Haryana. So I said, okay, Chaitanya bhai, let's come on the live and you discuss your IPL experience, CSK experience. And we had a good chat for about 45 minutes. And that is when I thought, okay, let's do this for the next 2 days. I ended up doing 25 of those live sessions for that year. And during that time, when I was doing those, I spoke to a lot of first-class cricketers, including Tushar Deshpande. There was Sreesanth, and there were all these cricketers. And what I observed was that, okay, these cricketers are worried, because they did not know what will happen. Ranji Trophy did not happen, and then I started speaking to more and more cricketers, and that is when I realized, okay, these cricketers are stressed. This is the time we should do something to help them. And that is when the idea of Square the One came to my head. And that is, and it was not like it was an idea that I did not have earlier. I did, but I thought it's something that I wanted to do at 25, maybe even later. But then I thought, no, I cannot wait that long. India's cricketing structure, it's good at the domestic level. How can we make it great without being in the internal setup? That is when I thought, okay, Square the One is the way to go.
Yes, so Shiv, folks, as you know now, he has used a situation which was problematic but converted it into opportunity. Rule number one for upcoming entrepreneurs when it comes to sports or any field: opportunity at the right time. But Shiv, I'll now come to the book. There is one chapter in that you said before the 2018 Under-19 World Cup, the final, India versus Australia. Australia, the sledging behemoths who would do anything to rile up opponents. Before Rahul Dravid's Indira Nagar ka Gunda meme, you've highlighted in that book a very particular aspect, like how Dravid, known for his very calm demeanor, gave it back to the Australians even before they stepped out on the stage. I think that was one of the most favorite chapters in the book, even for me, because Rahul Dravid. I mean, it is Rahul Dravid, yeah. Come on. One of the greatest and the most sensiblest cricketers to have ever come to India. Just highlight that episode because I've read it. It is like hilarious. He showed Indira Nagar ka Gunda 3 years before it became a meme. Just highlight that point, Shiv.
Absolutely. So what happened was India and Australia were set to play in the final of the Under-19 World Cup, and India had, in the opening game of the tournament, India had defeated Australia. And this was a high intensity game, high pressure game. So India and Australia were having their team meetings before a couple of days before the final. They were having their team meetings in adjacent rooms. So here's Australia, here's India. So now they know they can hear each other inside the room. So this Australian team, they start shouting, they start laughing, and they start doing everything that will help them intimidate the Indians. And Rahul Dravid very calmly listening, and Indian players, they are looking here and there, where is the noise coming from? They know that it's noise being made by the Australian players. So now Rahul Dravid just finishes what he's saying. He looks at the coaches of the Indian team. There's Paras Mhambrey sitting, there's the analyst Devraj Rawat, everyone is sitting. The players are a bit worried with this. Rahul Dravid says, okay, listen to me. He ends what he's saying. He tells them, okay, these are our tactics. This is what we are going to do. And then he goes like, okay, now we make the noise. Now we show them who we are. And the Indian team just goes berserk there. They just start making that noise. They start laughing. They start doing everything that the Australians were doing. And at the end of the day, the Indian room was making more noise than Australia. And we showed them off the field that day that we are ready. We won't be intimidated by anyone, be it the senior team, be it the junior team. Even if we are calm off the field, even if Rahul Dravid is the calmest of the person, he can be Indira Nagar ka Gunda, and that is before the ad.
Before that, did you ever expect in your wildest dreams that you would become Indira Nagar ka Gunda? Come on. Did you ever expect? But apart from that, Shiv, which was your other favorite chapter in the book? Apart from that particular incident.
This is from the chapter where I described the 2018 triumph of that side, because we were unbeaten in that tournament. Apart from this, my favorite chapter is there's a chapter named Guru Mantra. So now this chapter highlights about how coaches have taken Indian cricket to the next level. Be it Chandrakant Pandit, that man, he coaches Mumbai, he wins them Ranji titles, he moves to Vidarbha, he wins Vidarbha Ranji titles. Could you have ever imagined that Vidarbha would win a Ranji title? No. We could not have imagined, and it was a formidable side, and now players have emerged from that side, and we have written that in that chapter, and it's a lot about how Rahul Dravid has led this Indian Under-19 setup, what changes Rahul Bhai has made, and it's amazing. It's absolutely brilliant, because the first thing that Rahul Dravid did when he took over the responsibility was that he made sure that all players only play one World Cup, because what was happening earlier. Players were playing a couple of World Cups. Yeah. And, age fudging was a big factor. And when players were playing 2 World Cups, it meant that one person's spot would be in danger, because every year we would have someone, like we had Sarfaraz Khan who played 2 World Cups. Then in a country like India, which has so many players, you cannot have one player play 2 World Cups. It's unfair at times. Like there was this player, Kumar Kushagra, who was 16 at the time when the 2020 World Cup was played. He was a wicketkeeper batsman. But he did not get his opportunity because Dhruv Jurel was the wicketkeeper. And now Kumar Kushagra would not play another World Cup. But that's how the game is.
Yes.
That's how the game is. Talking about my favorite chapter, coming back to the topic, I think it is the one which is titled Guru Mantra. The whole book is my favorite. Another one of my favorite chapters is where we have highlighted this transition from Ranji Trophy to IPL and how that helps in gaining experience. Because when a child takes up the bat these days, he does not want to play Ranji Trophy, he wants to play the IPL. You have to highlight these certain key factors. What is the difference between Ranji and IPL? How to go about it? So I think that is my favorite because it helps the cricketers who are coming, aspiring and budding cricketers.
Indeed. Now talking about under 19 cricketers, Shiv. Recently, our 2012 under 19 winning captain Unmukt Chand went to the US. I think, am I right or wrong in saying that the 2012 under 19 batch remains the most unluckiest, because apart from Hanuma Vihari and Sandeep Sharma, no one even came close to IPL and Indian team selection? I mean, what went wrong for them according to you in whatever research you have done about the under 19 cricketers? What do you think went wrong with the 2012 batch?
I'm trying to recall names right now. So the two names that won us the 2012 World Cup in the final, I think it was Unmukt Chand, who scored 111, I think, yes, and Smith Patel, who also scored a 50.
Yep.
Both these guys now playing in the United States of America. So, it's very tough to pinpoint something. But see, we are a nation of 1.3 billion people. There's a lot of competition when it comes to cricket. And if you don't take your opportunity, if you don't grab your opportunity with both hands, it goes away. I remember somebody giving a statement. I was very young. I was, I think, 11 years old when the 2012 World Cup was played. But I remember somebody giving a statement that if you don't include Unmukt Chand in the lineup right now, like he said that there are two players who could be included in the lineup right now, and if they are not included, they might fade away. I don't remember who said it, but it was said for Harmeet Singh and Unmukt Chand.
Yes.
And that happened. Unmukt Chand, I think, what went wrong according to me, it was that he did get his opportunities. He did play for India A. That ball from Brett Lee, everyone remembers that. I think his confidence it was shattered right there, because the limelight was on him. First match of the IPL, Brett Lee just comes, uproots the stump. And then Unmukt never had his way, because he kept going in and out of the Delhi side. Then he moved to Uttarakhand, got dropped after 4 games, and Tanmay Srivastava was the captain when he got dropped. So, I think, talking about the unluckiest batch as well, I remember Baba Prajit was also from that batch, and he produced some good performances there. He moved to the Duleep Trophy, he scored a double 100 the next year. But after that, all of them just faded away. It's very tough to pinpoint a certain reason for that. But I think at times what happens is, when a player is in the under 19 level, you have all your concentration on him, and he just moves away from all that limelight, all that glory, and there's the lurking shadows. And that a part of our sport that is highly under talked about, that is the mental aspect. And I think it goes a long way, because suddenly imagine one day 100 people are coming and asking you something, the next day those people reduce to 50, then third day it reduces to 10, and fourth day nobody is asking you. That, I think, it's a lot of mental pressure. And especially for someone like in 2012, Unmukt was 18, then for a 19, 20, 21 year old, like his downfall was in those years when he was 21 years old. That is not easy to take. It will not be easy for me to take at this stage. That is what I'm telling you from my personal experience. So there's no particular reason. It's a combination of reasons.
So Shiv, you had touched upon square the one. Now, the final question that I have to propose in this is, you had the bravery and the courage to find or to start your own entrepreneurship at a time when the COVID pandemic was just decimating economies and finances the world over. India was also no exception. Now, when we are trying to get back to a normal situation, what is your message for cricket fans, for sports entrepreneurs? What is your message to them?
See, my message to cricket fans would be just enjoy the game, because for cricket fans, what happens as a fan, we tend to hate a lot on players, on opposition players. We tend to criticize a lot. If Virat is not scoring runs, we'll criticize him. Pujara is not scoring runs, we say throw him out of the team. This is not how it works. You have to understand what a cricketer is going through. You have to. I've recently started understanding what a cricketer goes through. How much pressure is it? How much mental pressure is it? 1.3 billion people shouting at you, throw him out of the team. It's not easy. It's not easy to be there. And if you are there, if you are, see, as a cricket fan, you have to be calm. You have to support your team, and you have to enjoy the game. And as a cricketer, if you are there, don't let it slip. Don't let this pressure get to you. As a young cricketer, don't let this limelight get to you. Stick to your roots. Stick to the basics that you know. Stick to the game. Don't ever think that you are bigger than this sport, because this sport can teach a lot to people, and this sport can tell people who you are. Guys, like the video, comment, subscribe, share all the love that you have to this video, to Sports Limo, to the YouTube channels, to the page, to the website, and to everything. Hit the subscribe button.